Getting views and making sales on YouTube is not about writing the perfect script. In fact, scripting is what's holding most creators and entrepreneurs back from growth. And this is because when you read a script to a teleprompter, it's super easy to come across as really robotic and look exactly the same as all this AI slop that is flooding the platform right now, which does the exact opposite of what you need to get views and sales, which is to build trust. So instead of writing the perfect script, you need to focus on learning how to write the perfect plan, which is exactly what I've been doing over the last 12 months to gain 20,000 subscribers on this niche YouTube channel. And more specifically, I've been able to 10x my views in the last month by making some small tweaks on how I actually plan my videos, which is what I'm going to share with you today. So I'm going to give you 3 steps in just a second, but first you need to understand what actually brings in views and sales. So for views on YouTube, the algorithm more than ever is looking for audience satisfaction. And it's doing this through things like hype points, which are super likes that your audience can give you, which boosts your video's exposure. It's also looking through the comments, the likes, and the shares that your video is getting. So audience satisfaction, keep that in mind because that's going to be very relevant in one of the steps we're about to take. For sales, the single best way to make sales through YouTube is give your audience trust that you can get them the result. And there's no faster way to make them trust that you can give them the result by actually just giving them the result for free. So the best thing that you can do in your videos is teach your audience how to do something, get them to do it, then they'll get a result, and then they will go back to you because they want more of that result and they're willing to pay you for it. And so in my recent uploads, I tweaked my planning process to specifically focus on these things, and the results have blown me away. So let's get into step 1. Forgive me, I must put on my jacket, for I am cold. So the first step is pull paint point. And without this, none of the other steps are gonna work. With every single point you make in your video, your audience is subconsciously thinking, why should I care about this? Now, a funny story is that I get all of my clients to use the pull paint point framework, but in my own videos, I sometimes get a bit lazy. I'll admit it. I sort of think, yeah, maybe I don't really need this framework in this video, or I'll sort of really loosely use it and then it'll be fine. And recently I was recording a tutorial for my program and I thought, all right, what better way of actually showing this in action than just walking my members through how I actually make a video. So I recorded myself planning out a full YouTube video that I was actually gonna make. And with this YouTube video, I really stuck to my templates and I used the pull paint point framework in every single point. I then shot this video and it completely blew up on YouTube. So the lesson here is that, Thomas, don't be lazy. And don't go off your templates and your frameworks, stick to the plan, stick to the frameworks, and all is well. And the basic premise here is that you might have great information, but without structuring it, your audience doesn't know why they should care. It's like being the owner of a restaurant, having all these incredible ingredients that you've sourced from all these 0-kilometer organic farms, and then just dumping them on the table of your guests. All the value is technically there, but it just hasn't been cooked in a way that your audience can enjoy and understand. So let me break this down for you real quick. Inside pull paint point, first is pull. So before each point, just take 1 or 2 sentences or a few seconds to explain why what you're about to say is important for your audience to reach their end goal. It's as simple as that. I just did it before this point. You can skip back and see it in action. Paint is when before you actually reveal the point, you talk about a metaphor, analogy, story, or example to paint in, to illustrate what you're actually talking about and give context. So in this point right here, I told you a story of how I discovered this through planning out a behind the scenes video. And also I gave a metaphor of the restaurant ingredients, right? Before I actually revealed the point, which is what I'm doing right now, which is the pull point paint framework. Okay, that's the paint part. The point is when you actually teach. Okay, this is the part that most people do and they ignore the other 2 things. So the whole video is just teaching and then they wonder why it's coming across as not only boring, but also quite hard to understand because you haven't given that context and related these concepts to things that your audience already know about in their brain, such as stories and metaphors. When you pull and paint before you point, you will stand out in the sea of creators as somebody who can actually explain concepts in a way that makes sense to their audience. It'll also allow each point to feel like its own sort of mini journey that really nicely and neatly concludes. In the world of YouTube, the best information doesn't stand out. The best structured information does. And by the way, if you want to make perfect video plans for every video that you make, I have a free video planning template called the anti-script template below. That's on me. Step number 2 is to make it sticky, not sloppy. Hear me out on this one. So remember what I said before about both audience satisfaction and getting your viewers to take action on your advice? This simple tweak I made to my planning process is exactly what enabled my videos to do both of those things, and I think is what really got them a ton of views. So the huge problem that we face as creators and entrepreneurs who are trying to help people by putting content out there online is that our audiences just forget almost everything that we say. This is because everyone's doom scrolling, they'll watch your video in between 5 other videos. Well, this is where this little tweak comes in. Think of the taglines or catchphrases, work smarter, not harder, or use it or lose it, right? Those taglines are like 4 words each or something, but they encapsulate huge ideas that are very easy to remember. So you could have a whole book called Work Smarter, Not Harder, and it could be like 1,000 pages long about that one subject, right? It's a way to encapsulate a huge concept that means different things for different people. And what you want to do is come up with a tagline or a catchphrase or interesting rhyme or name for each of your points in your video. You might have noticed already I've come up with some pretty creative ones for this video. And when you come up with these taglines for each point, it does a couple of things. The first one is it makes it stick, right? Make it sticky. It makes it stick in your audience's mind. And you'll see this through the comments that you're getting. So my video that did really well recently, it was flooded with comments that were saying the exact names of all of these points that I'd come up with. There was one called perfecting versus connecting. There was another one called emotional spaghetti. People were quoting the names of these points in the comments. That is showing YouTube that people were liking exactly what I was talking about. And the other interesting thing here is that it gives people something to latch onto, right? No one wants to write a comment that says like, hey man, oh, you know that point that you were making about how speaking is like this and it's kind of like this and it's kind of like that. Well, you know, I was thinking that this was good, right? It's a huge comment to write. They're trying to summarize the points for you. Instead, people can say, bro, that perfecting versus connecting point, that was gold, right? Or they could say, oh, I've never thought about it like emotional spaghetti before. That's really interesting. And it's kind of tickling me that hopefully quite a lot of people are going to be commenting in this video talking about making it sticky rather than making it sloppy. But that sloppy part is actually a key part of this point, because without making it sticky and without actually coming up with these names, you really risk kind of making sloppy content. And these names for each point not only serve to help your audience remember what you're saying, they also serve you when you're planning videos to make your points really crystal clear. What is my point here? What is it against? What is it for? How can I put that into a name that encapsulates what I'm talking about? And by far the most powerful way this will help maximize your views and sales on YouTube is that when your audience go away to put into practice what you've talked about, they can have your sticky concepts in their mind referencing when they're actually doing that thing. So in a recent video, for example, I talked about perfecting versus connecting, which basically means don't be perfect on camera, focus on connecting with your audience. How many people can go away now, next time they're talking to camera, they can just say to themselves, perfecting versus connecting, right? Connect, don't be perfect. And they can say that to themselves and that will change their behaviors on camera, which will give them a result. This final step is not optional because it adds rocket fuel to everything else that we've already covered. People rarely remember the whole explanation. Instead, they remember the line that crystallizes the point. They remember the one line that makes them think, oh, that is the point, that's the thing, that's the epiphany, that is the mic drop moment. And without a mic drop sentence, even a great explanation can kind of feel like it trails off into nothing and not be remembered. So now what I've been doing is engineering a specific mic drop statement for every single point. And the way that I do this is simple. I just look at the point and the explanation that I've already planned out and I think, how could I sum this up in one sentence? And I write out a sentence and I do a couple of tries and I put them in quote marks and put my name under it. It sounds stupid, but would this be like a framed quote? Could this stand alongside a great quote from Picasso or Winston Churchill, right? Could it work? Probably not. It's about YouTube. But does it look like it could? Does it look the part? That's the kind of quote that you're looking for. 1 or 2 sentences that is really pithy. One that I used in my recent video was, are you trying to impress or are you trying to express? The latter will always serve you better. By ending the point with that sentence, it cements the point and learning in the audience's mind and makes it memorable. So this doesn't only support your names that you've already named for each point, but it also makes you a better speaker because it gives you something to aim for. Because whilst you're starting your points with your sticky names, which sort of keeps you on track and cements your plan in your mind, you're actually aiming for a mic drop statement. You have that sentence in your mind to aim for at the end of your point. So it gives you a target to aim for as you're navigating through your plan off the cuff when you speak. And because you've got that final sentence already pre-planned out, every single point is going to feel like it really hits home with a mic drop rather than sort of trailing off into nothing. Planning your videos following these 3 steps also allows you to start your videos with a massive amount of confidence because you know you've got fun names, you've got great illustrations, and you've got mic drop moments to share. So you're starting your videos like a boss, knowing that like, oh man, I can't wait to drop the mic on this point right now. If you want to put this into action yourself, feel free to grab that anti-script planning template in the description below. If you want extra support, we've got a 30-day talking to camera challenge where you can talk to camera every single day for 30 days following specific prompts, which will get you feeling really comfortable and confident when you speak on YouTube. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to create authentic videos that bring in views and sales to your videos, then check out the Natural Speaking System, which is an 8-week accelerator for entrepreneurs. And if you want to to know how I generated $160,000 through a single YouTube video through telling stories, check out this video next.